I want to talk about the challenges that I've experienced throughout this journey. I mean, as I've shared the things that I've gained and the things that I've learned. Did I say what date it was? It's November 3rd, 2023. Okay. So this is what I've learned. And it was a real big challenge for me at first. And I think this is something that I struggled with even before I started therapy, but then I became much more aware of it, which was even more of a challenge, because when you're not aware of something, you're just not aware of it. But then when you become aware of it, you're just like, how do I do this? How do I fix this? How do I work on this? And I struggled for a very long time, and still do, which is why I do these check-ins, to check in with myself, to process whatever I feel like I need to process, because I've struggled with communicating my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions in a way that I believe others could understand. And for a long time, I wasn't able to. Not only was I not able to communicate, I wasn't able to communicate something that I didn't even understand for myself, and I was beginning to learn and uncover. And there was a lot of things I had to unlearn in order for me to learn and relearn, if that makes any sense. And one of those things, in not communicating, right, and not being able to communicate well, as far as like giving it language, whatever it was that I was going through, whatever I was feeling. And anytime I did, my thing was, I'm just going through a season right now. I'm just, the Lord is just telling me, like, I need to separate myself, or I need to, I don't know. I just didn't know how else to explain it. But in embarking on this journey, there were many things I had to distance myself from in order for me to focus on just His voice, because my voice alone, the thoughts that I was having were too much of a distraction already, and I was being influenced by the destructive thoughts that I was having, about myself. And I didn't want to, I didn't know it at the time, but I feel like that this was God's way of teaching me how to set the boundaries that were necessary for me as I was learning more about myself, as I was learning how to cope with certain things that I didn't know how to cope with. How to navigate through things in ways that were healthy. Unhealthy meaning it would take me, on this path of feeling even more anxious, even more depressed. And so I had found myself distancing myself from people that I felt that I didn't feel safe with. And not to say that they were bad people. I just didn't, being vulnerable and being my authentic self, I didn't feel safe in their presence oftentimes. And so those people, whether they were family members, friends, or whoever, co-workers, there were people that I had to distance myself from in order for me to focus on what I believe God wanted me to focus on. And it was kind of discouraging, because I'm like, God, you're just, I'm by myself. Like, I have nobody. And He's like, exactly. I need you to depend on me and me only. And it was what I considered to be truly being consecrated in such a way that I had never been consecrated before. And that's just being set apart. And it was for, I would say a season, but I'm like, man, this season is pretty long. Isn't there like 3 months to a season? But yeah, anyway. And so yeah, it was a lot that I wasn't able to effectively communicate to others. And so that cost me a lot of relationships and friendships. And so some I was able to repair, I guess, and others I believe God wanted to keep the way that it is. Some people were receptive to me being able to now effectively communicate and express or explain like what I had been going through now that I know and understand what I was going through. But others weren't receptive, and that's okay. But something that I also learned is that I will never ever apologize. I have and will apologize and take accountability for the things that I may have done wrong or could have done differently or could have done better at. But I will never apologize in doing what I believe I needed to do for me. And not to say that anyone is expecting an apology or that, but for myself, I will never apologize for investing in me and doing what I felt necessary for me, because for a long time I was in such a dark place that I hated myself. And I will never allow myself to get to a place where I become somebody that I'm not just to please someone else. Never ever again. And anyone that loves me and cares for me will never want me to do that. So being this person that I am today, the friendships that I've had or the relationships that I've had with others may have been okay with the old version of me, but this new version of me, many people or some people, or I don't know, whoever, may not be okay with this version. And those that are not okay with it are not people that I need in my life. And I think that this is something that we should keep in mind. And those that do, I think we should welcome and be receptive to. Okay, toodles.